Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we'll discuss about public IP addresses and user-defined routes. So when it comes to public IP address, we have already created and assigned it to the VMs in the previous lecture. So let's go over one of the public IP address and see what it is. So this is the IP, public IP, which means it's publicly available, and one. This is a single instance of the IP which is assigned to me. I mean, procured by me, and this won't be available to anyone else in the world. So it's like, if you procure one, that's yours completely. Until and unless I delete this IP address won't cannot be used by anyone else to assign to their resources. They can access this public IP address to access the, you know, they can use this public IP address to access the web server hosted on this one, but they cannot assign this to a different web server. And yeah, let's just create a public IP address and see what options are available. Let me create a public IP address. Yeah, if I create, let me just select one region. I'll just give a name, sample IP. Yeah, I'm selecting IPv4, and then we have SKU, standard, and basic. When it's come to basic, it's again, it's going to be retired next year. And one more thing, you don't have any zone redundancy and any tires. Must Okay, so when it comes to assignment of the public IP address, public IP can be assigned to a VM or a load balancer or an application gateway or any internet facing things, NAT gateway or VPN gateway or firewall, basically any internet facing thing. So when it comes to standard and basic, when you choose load balancer basic, you can use public IP address as a basic one. When you choose load balancer as standard one, you have to use public IP address and standard one. Similarly, when the service is regional, you have to use regional, and when the service is global, you have to use global. So these are the options which are available. And again, we can have a IPv6 public IP or an IPv4. And yeah, these are the available, available options. And we can confine the availability zone to one or zone redundant, which means it will be deployed in all three zones to make our public IP available at all the time. And then there is this DDoS protection. Uh, Whenever a public IP is part of a VNet, if the VNet has DDoS protection, the IP inherits that. If not, we can buy it for specific IP address, or we can disable it. I mean, this is chargeable. When it comes to IP address, it's $199 per month, and when it comes to network, it's 2,400, I remember, per month. And let's go ahead and create them. So once created, we can basically assign it to any suitable resources, that is any public facing. But again, suitable, by suitable, what I meant was, if it's a standard, we need to use standard load balancer only. We cannot use basic load balancer. So that's how the mapping would be there. So yeah, that's on public IP. Let's quickly move to route tables, the user defined routes. What user defined routes is, so now we in the earlier chapter we have paired both the networks, network 1 and network 2, but we didn't tell network 1 that okay, whenever the IP address of network 2 is searched, go to this path, right? So that is a route which has been defined by default by Azure. So user defined routes is nothing but we will be overriding it by our custom routes. So let's just create one. Now we have public access to VM2, so let's create the route in VM2 as well. Let's just say sample route table. And currently there are no gateways inside any VNet, so I do not want to propagate. Even if you say yes, that actually makes no sense here. So let's just create this. This should be pretty quick. All right, yeah, it's done. So let me just refresh. So yeah, in the resource currently it's not associated to any subnet or any routes have been defined. So let's just first associate it to the subnet. So we have while creating the route table, we have specified the network. So you cannot change the network, but you cannot you can assign it to any one of the subnet or multiple subnets. So let's just click OK, and this will associate this route table and remove the default route table on top of it. I mean, basically this would override the default one. If at all, if we don't specify all the routes, I mean, say for example, currently we don't have any routes here. So the default routes takes place, that will take the precedence. If we define any route, if this conflicts with that, then this takes the precedence. So let's just say network 2. We want to control the traffic that is going to network 2 from network 1, right? This is assigned to network 1. So the destination is an IP address, and we know that the CIDR block of network 2 is 10.0.0.0/16. That is the VMB IP address falls within this range. Next hop, we can choose multiple things. Currently, to validate that this route table works, let's just say none, right? Before adding this one, I want to show that currently I'm on VM connected to VMA. Let's just verify that we are able to resolve VMB, right? So yeah, we are able to connect to VMB. All right, let's save this now, and it won't take much time to basically add a new route. All right, if we go to overview and just refresh this, we can see that okay, the default subnet is associated with this route table where our VMA is deployed, and then we have defined a route that is this address prefix where our VMB resides, and we want to end the connection. That is, the next hop is nothing but, if at all, if a connection is made within this range, the next hop can be internet or any virtual appliance. In this case, we want to terminate the connection. So whenever you try to resolve the IP address of VMB, it should not return anything. But since we have associated the route table just now, let's just give it a few minutes before the new route takes place. Let's just retry the same thing now. Curl 10.0.0.4, and the expected should be, the connection should terminate, and we should not see this is VMB. Yeah, as expected, it's been a couple, nearly 5 to 6 seconds, and we are not receiving anything. Because this is a VNet peering connection, the response should have been pretty quick as earlier. So let's just end this connection. So yeah, that's how user defined routes work. Whenever you override a default route, I mean basically a default route would have been created whenever the virtual network peering has been done, but as we have overridden with the custom route, the traffic is not being moved from VMA to VMB. So that's how user defined routes work. Thank you. Let's meet in the next lecture.